Hey everybody, it's Caitlin and I'm back with another video, this time with a brand new topic. I'm going to talk about, the Great Movie Ride. So the Great Movie Ride was the landmark central opening day attraction for Disney's Hollywood Studios when it opened in 1989, and unfortunately it closed this past year, which was super upsetting. I worked there for 4 years, 4 really, really good years, and I was lucky enough to be trained as a tour guide, a gangster, bandit, and I became a tour guide trainer as well. So I have a lot of stories about this attraction. I have a lot of Disney stories in general about all the places I've worked within the company so far. But I thought today I would talk about some of the crazy things that happened at this attraction. So I came prepared. I have one of my closing team cast member shirts. This was designed by a former cast member. The back is pretty great too. I have my gangster bow, which was made by Magical Ribbons, and it was a gift from my friend Valentina on closing day when she came to see me right before we closed. So yeah, I hope y'all are ready for some weird cast member Great Movie Ride shenanigans. Guests will jump out of vehicles. This goes for any attraction. Weird things happen. But there was one day at Movie Ride, the tour guide came down from the Anubis scene, so came down the stairs, got on the vehicle. Not bad for my first big, sir, where are you going? And this guy, this like middle-aged Midwestern dad goes, I gotta pee. And the tour guide's up there, sir, please come back. We will have someone come out and get you and escort you off. I gotta pee. So the guy takes off running. The cast member, all I could do is we had an alert system so you could notify what scene of the attraction you were in and someone could come and assist you. So he does that, and people are coming out to assist. And so the maintenance guys would always answer to these distress calls, and so they walk out of the Fantasia curtain, and they see the guy sitting in the middle of the Casablanca scene with his pants down, and he's getting ready to pee on the ride path. And they're like, what are you doing? And he's like, I gotta pee. So they opened up the backstage door, we'll let him walk out, and he peed on a generator. And meanwhile, the rest of us inside are like, what do we do? So we just had to wait and make sure that this guy wasn't still peeing somewhere in the ride. But that was the highlight of the week. It was like, hey, did you hear about the guy who peed in Casablanca? The way the attraction worked, which, by the way, I want to do a lot of videos about the history of the attraction, the development of the attraction. I have a whole, like, Easter egg kind of video that I took right before we closed. So comment below if you want to learn more about the Great Movie Ride. But one of the ways that the attraction worked was the vehicle will drive over roadbed sensors, and those sensors would activate the next part of the scene. So if you weren't careful and you ran your roadbed sensor too early, the scene would trigger and you wouldn't be in the scene where you needed to be. So this was probably my first month there after retraining, because I originally worked there on my college program, came back and retrained when I was full-time. And so I run the roadbed sensor going into the gangster scene, and all of a sudden this whole family in row 12 stands up, please, please, please. So I stop and I'm like, I don't know, maybe grandpa's having a heart attack. Like, I don't know. I would rather err on the side of caution. So I did the little alert system and everything. And I go back there, I'm like, is everything okay? They're like, she dropped her Minnie Mouse ears on the track back in the musical scene. It happens all the time. All we had to do was when they got back off the ride, oh, we dropped it, and we would have been able to pick it up. But no, now everything is messed up. So I had to wait. And meanwhile, the gangster scene has activated. So I can see and hear, like, 30 feet away that the shootout is happening. Squid and Beans are like, Moxie, hey, Moxie. And I'm just sitting there with my guests like, just a moment, friends. And they came out and ran the hand pack, and I was like, and they left. And I moved forward. However, since I had already triggered that scene, it wasn't going to happen again. So I pull into the scene where I'm supposed to be hijacked at gunpoint by the gangster, and it is silent. It's completely silent. My guests are not speaking. None of the attraction scenes are moving, and I just go, well, I guess we'll just keep going. And all of a sudden, one of the gangsters comes out and goes, hey, what are you doing here? I was like, oh, okay. And he ended up ad-libbing, and I basically ran. I did not say a single, like, line of dialogue. I just got out of there, which was quite a time. But it was fun because later on, when I became gangster trained, I had that happen to me as well. And I would have, like, the scared deer in the headlights tour guide, like, please help. And I'd be like, all right, honey, what are you doing? Let's go. And yeah, it was nice to see how the turntables, you know how it is. So another thing that happened with those roadbed sensors is that sometimes the vehicles would activate the incorrect one. Because you had the A vehicle that would be in the front, and they would activate the western scene and have the bandit hijacking. And the B behind it, when they traveled in those pairs, would have the gangster scene. These trams were old and cranky, and sometimes they'd be like, I don't want to activate that, I'm going to do whatever. And so we had a set that was messed up, where the A would pull in and start activating the gangster scene, and the gangster's up there like, what's happening? And meanwhile, the A driver's like, I'm sorry, bye, and they just keep going. And by the time that the B pulled in, the scene would be halfway over. And meanwhile, while this set is all messed up, the next set of vehicles behind it was also messed up, where it was not activating anything. You would pull into silence. Nothing was going on. So you literally had this back-to-back of just everything being awful. So we just had to keep ad-libbing. And so there's usually, on average, there were 4 gangsters backstage at one time, like during a shift. And we just, all 4 of us were just kind of doing whatever. There would be all 4 of us out at one time. Sometimes 2 of us would come and hijack together. It was just a mess. And that went on for like an hour and a half before they finally like, okay, we're gonna have to like figure out what's happening and fix it. So in the meantime, we had a great time. And we had some newer tour guides coming in too, and they were like, I don't know what to do. I need a grown up. It was hysterical for the gangsters at least. One day we had a cast member he started the show. So he was the one, welcome aboard at this time. He did all the spiel, goes through the musical, gets hijacked in Gangster, somehow injured himself in Gangster. And he called downstairs like, I cannot finish my show. So the coordinator sitting in the computer, she goes, you go take his show. The show continues as normal. The guests have no idea. And they pull into the Anubis scene, and they do the whole switch and the jewel and whatnot, and the tour guide goes, ta-da! And now their tour guide is no longer a tall, thin, young black man, but an average height, white, blonde girl. And no one questioned it. No one said anything. No one was like, wait a minute, what happened to the boy? What happened to our tour guide? You're not our tour guide. Is this part? No. Like, apparently the people in rows 1 and 2 like kind of looked at her funny like, are you okay? But no one said anything. They all pulled back on the loading dock. She said, I was going to say enjoy your flight. That's Star Tours. Wrong attraction. But just goodbye, everybody. And they all leave. And no one questioned that their tour guide suddenly switched absolutely every identifying feature about them. No one asked. So I do have tons of stories, because after 4 years, you have a lot of weird things happen at attractions. But sometimes you would go in autopilot. It would happen. You would do these 22-minute shows all day long. There were 3 variations that you had to learn. But you do them so often, like you would do anywhere between 8 and 15 shows a day, depending on how long your shift was, how busy we were, that sort of thing. So you would zone out. And my favorite anecdote about this, well, actually there's a couple, but one of my favorites was we had a CP, bless his heart, sweet butterfly of a CP. He was one of our college interns, and he's driving through musical, and he's completely zoned out. And the line was, Footlight Parade starring James Cagney, Ruby Keeler, and Dick Powell. But meanwhile, all the kids on the tram are going, bubbles, 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 because there are bubbles filtering down. So this CP is completely zoned out, and he goes, starring James Cagney, Ruby Keeler, and bubbles, bubbles, Dick Bubbles. He couldn't do anything about it. He just had to keep going and hope that no one noticed that their tour guide at Disney World just called an actor Dick Bubbles. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed these stories from backstage of the Great Movie Ride. We had some really great shenanigans. I'm always happy to talk about my favorite attraction, my favorite Disney job that I've ever had. If you had a great time, leave a comment, subscribe if you want to see more videos. You can also find me all over social media as The Metaphor Girl. I also have my blog, themetaphorgirl.com. Let's be friends. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye, y'all.